Good morning, everybody from here in Australia. My name is Bobbie Richardson, and I am a channeler and a seer. Today, I'm going to channel through my team. My soul team consists of Arcturians, Pleiadians. I can channel straight through to source energy, Gaia, and elementals. That's what I mainly concentrate on, but sometimes other people come in, even ancestors. I can also channel through different beings that I have been visited by, which I actually physically saw a lot of beings, and they gave me a lot of messages on my life. My mum had the same gift. She closed it down. She did not like it. And I was curious. My curiosity took me even further. So I have actually today, for the first time, I have closed the chat bar for this channeling. I decided to focus in when I'm channeling in more on myself and my channeling and my team. But for my beautiful people who come on my chat bar, I am going to be presenting a movie and premiering it probably in the next 24 hours or something, and I'll do that hopefully once a week as well. And then when we premiere, the chat bar will be open and I'll be able to chat to you. And the great thing with that is I'm going to be able to chat to you live and not like keep on looking at the screen and so forth. I just think that this might be the way to go at the moment. So let's focus in and see what comes out for February 2023 and beyond, because there is energies that are coming at us at the moment that are carrying through for the next few years. And they're going to be present. And then there's energies that will just come just for this week and for this month and so forth. So it's all depending on humanity's consciousness and growth and how it's reflected outward, what we're searching for, what we're expanding by asking the certain questions that we ask ourselves and seeking the truth for our reality of who we are authentically inside and so forth. There's a couple of things that have come up this morning, which I know is probably going to get touched on, and that is, one of them is to do with miracles and grounding miracles, which is really important at the moment. Grounding miracles. Okay, what does that even mean? So each one of us has these passionate desires to step outside the box a little bit. Some of us are quite happy with the mainstream sort of context of things, but they still want to ground them. In other words, ground the houses, ground the successful career, ground the love life, that sort of thing. That's acceptable, right? And then there's those that want to step out a little further. We want to have communication with ETs. We want to have communication with elementals. We want to be able to talk to the plants. We want to be able to have premonitions of where we're actually going or where our energy is actually taking us, because all premonitions is where our energy is taking us from this moment, and any of that can be shifted as well, because we're in this vortex at the moment. Our energy is in a vortex of just becoming particles, so to speak, and floating above ourselves. So bringing me to a dream that I was gifted years and years ago. We're talking the early 2000s, and I literally painted a painting where I was in the dark, and then I was lying down on a cliff, and then my body disappeared into dots, and then I was just these little particles, and then I started to see it's myself coming back again, but I was now understanding that I was more than just me, more than just my body, more than just what society tells me I am. And that's when I got to see my higher self, which was an angelic, beautiful figure standing on the edge of the cliff, and she just turns and smiles, like a nice smile at me, and then jumps off the cliff. Like she literally jumped into this unknown territory that hadn't been created anymore. And when I looked over the cliff, here she was being carried by these beautiful pink butterflies. So she led with her heart, and she was transforming from her heart. And that's where I feel that humanity is at the moment. We're in these we're in this state of flux. We're like little particles. And what do we want to create out of this instead of creating or focusing in on the program that was there before this shift has happened, that gave us the opportunity, or the new energies that are coming to us, or the opening of humanity's consciousness is asking for these new energies to come in. And so now that we are there, we go in between, we keep going between grounding things, having a crack at, asking our logic to understand who we are, and at least accept some of these miracles, or accept some of these things that we want to ground that are pretty, coming from the etheric veil, or our imagination, or our intuition, or our gut, or our soul, and then to have our logical side of ourselves agreeing with that, or agreeing with bits of it. That's when it starts to ground, because when your logic agrees with your intuition, it says, yes, we can create this in this separated world that we're living in now, where everything is separated from each other, and we're in a program of seeing other people's realities play out as well, because there is only one existence, and that's your existence. So when you come from this, it's up to you and your imagination as to how you want to create yourself out of the things that don't serve you anymore. Yeah, so that's really important. One of the stories that's coming up, that they're bringing up for me, is the story of how I met the Cherokee elder. And that story came because I was bombarded by so many visitations. We're talking 2 a night, where they were telling me I was going to have 2 babies, and they're going to be 2 girls, and I did. I literally wake up and see little washing lines of these 2 babies that are going to, both girls, pink washing lines, of their clothes and stuff. And I knew that I was going to have 2 more children, and then there would be another shift in my vibration, and they'll be teaching me that I can connect to Gaia herself and stuff like that. There was just so much coming at me, and lots of shifts. I had a lot of dreams in that time of tornadoes, of anger being around me, and anger being within me that was reflected out of me, that I had to shift. And that came in my dreams as tornadoes, and facing those tornadoes. That's the power of who I am, and me denying my power. And so we see that the tornado coming at us as our own power reflected back at us, that we're denying and not utilizing it in a manner that's going to serve us, which is taking the reins of our reality and moving with velocity, with force towards what we really want to move towards. So I was having a lot of these visions, and then after the visions happened, I just went, you know what, this is too much, because I also had people coming that were passed over, that had died, and they were coming into my reality. Steve Irwin, all these people that were seeking some sort of help. So I was like a lighthouse, like a lighthouse just open for anyone to come in, knowing that I could see them. And I didn't want to focus my guests into the dead. I wanted to focus my guests into finding humanity's potential. So I asked to meet someone of high integrity. And when I asked that, they said I didn't need to meet someone of high integrity. This is going to all play out fine. And I said, yeah, but this is me here now, and I feel I want this. I'm changing my rules. I need someone of high integrity to meet that can help me with my progression and clearing all of this that I had to clear to be able to get to the authentic me. And it was a really weird circumstance that happened where I ended up following my bliss, and I ended up meeting someone who was a reader. I think her name was Rose, and she was going to do a talk way over the other side of Brisbane. And so I went over to meet up with her. There was a lot of people at her talk. We're talking over 100 people at her talk. We were all in little tables with circled, in a circle table each. And then there was this girl at this table that I ended up talking to, a lady, and she ended up living just around the corner from me. So we decided to get together afterwards. And she was already doing classes of remote viewing with this amazing teacher from Ohio who was an elder, who was a Cherokee elder. And she said, I have this feeling that you're supposed to meet her. I had just had a 6-month-old baby. And then we found out that she was actually going to come to Australia, to Byron Bay. And my friend at that time said, I think you need to go see her. So I packed up my baby and I went and saw her, which was about a 4-hour drive to go to Byron Bay. 2-hour drive to go to Byron Bay. So I get there and I'm one of the first people in the room. There was one other person in the room, and then the elder walked in. She went and sat next to the other person, had a chat to them, come to me. She sat down next to me. I'm holding my baby, 6-month-old baby, and she said to me, your baby is going to be an amazing leader. And I'm like, whoa, who are you? I didn't even know that she was the speaker. I didn't know who she was. I'm like, whoa, that was a profound thing to say to someone you just met. And then I realized she was actually the speaker. She stood up in front of it. All these people came, like 80, to 100 people came. And then she was like sitting at the along the side of the wall with all of the people that she met along the way that she was working with. They were along the side of the wall as well. And then she said, that's right. Then I put down my pillow and my baby was sitting on the pillow right opposite her, and she was sitting like she knew her, or like they knew each other. They were just looking at each other like this, like there was this knowing. That Cherokee elder, Parisha Taylor, she had already gone to a place called Bhutan, and they had the people from there, the native people from there, said that she was a Buddha Tara, and they wanted to shrine her up with a temple and everything like that. And then she said, no, that's not my life. My life is to be a Cherokee elder this time. That was a previous life. And so they allocated 1,000 monks that she can allocate their energy to wherever to help shift humanity's consciousness and Earth and Gaia itself. So in any case, I was sitting there and she was having this talk, and she said, wow, that one of the people beside her said, wow, that baby looks like a my child was really good through the whole thing. She didn't cry or anything. So it was quite, it was over an hour long. And then at the end of it, we all had to put our hands up to ask questions. And I wanted to talk about these, I'm getting bombarded, right? And I'm like, here's this lady that I feel is of high integrity now. I feel I can trust her. I'm going to ask her see what she says about me and my visions. So I put my hand up tentatively. I was actually really nervous to do that. She ended up talking to me, and she said, you're too hard on yourself. You've got little babies and you're too hard on yourself. Just don't worry about it. In any case, you love those visions. And I'm like, yeah, I do love those visions. I do love like the curiosity of where things are going to take me and stuff like that. And I realized I'm actually manifesting more visions because of my curiosity. So maybe I just should pull that back. But she also asked me to come to the front, and she said, come here, because I told her that a couple of years ago I had a still mind and now I don't. And that was when I found the gold bracelet, when my team took me to the beach, and I dug up this gold bracelet just on this random beach, and they had taught me how to still my mind. And I lost it on the way, because it's like they took the training wheels off and said, you've got to do it yourself now. And so she said, I was too hard on myself, come up here. And then she said, I'm going to help you. And so she put her hands on my head and she was like, she said, I'm changing neuron paths. And when she did that, that clarity came back, just pure clarity again, just like I had back then when I was in the training with my guys, just pure clarity. And I'm like, wow, stillness, it feels so good. Like no worries, no anxiety, no concerns, nothing. And it lasted for 2 weeks. So I knew that she was somebody to follow up with. And then 2 weeks later, a year later, I went and saw her again, and she helped me shift something that was an ongoing problem since I was a child. And she gave me more information on things that I won't talk about here, but I will talk about in my classes, because there's some things that were brought up that cannot be spoken about here. Anyways, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because what happened there in my reality in that time was I was grounding something in my reality, a miracle in my reality. I was grounding an expectation. I was following my imprint of where my soul wanted to take me. And this is what this energy is all about. This is what this energy is present about now. They want us to, or we want us to, because we are them and they are us, we're all one. We are literally opening these Pandora boxes. And little by little, so that we feel safe with this, we are going to be grounding miracles. We're going to be asking for things that we want to be shown in physical form, and then grounding them. But if your logic does not approve, then take it back a bit. Like, say, if your logic's not approving on the fact that you want to meet up with a Pleiadian, and you will have to go on a journey to meet up with that Pleiadian. You'll have to clear enough of your own stuff and clear enough of your own crap within your own mind to be able to meet their energy. So you will have to go on this journey of clearing and facing your shadow work and seeing everything as a reflection of you moving towards having a meeting with a Pleiadian. And so there's this journey that has to happen. It's not, and also the logical side of ourselves has to be convinced. So then maybe you will wake up after you have a profound dream of feeling like that dream was real and you felt like this amazing person come up to you with the vivid blue eyes, and you're like, wow, they come off a spaceship. And like what you're doing there by writing that dream down is you're convincing your logical mind that there's something more than just this. Or you start watching UFO shows, or you start watching things that are going to bring you into the energy of aligning your logical brain to saying other people have had experiences and they're sharing those experiences with you. And then you're starting to learn to ground it by teaching your logical mind that it can think outside the box, expect something outside the box or outside of the norm of what society says. And then start slowly, there'll be these little signs that'll happen. You'll start to see, a light in the sky, and you get all excited. And when you get excited, thank you very much for that. I see that that's one of my stepping stones towards meeting you. Or you start feeling like you're getting messages, channeled messages from a really good feeling. And that is another indication of you getting one step closer to meeting with these Pleiadians and so forth. But you don't have to be, it doesn't have to be meeting with Pleiadians. It could be grounding any kind of miracle. It could be grounding the fact that you want to become the best photographer in the world, or whatever, in your world. It's always from your own perception, right? Your world, your best photographer of what you can create. And then you see opportunities where there will be a scenery where you turn the corner in your car and, oh my God, that scenery is beautiful. I am going to use that scenery. And then somebody else comes into your life and they're like, I always wanted to be a model. Oh, do you want to be my model? Because I've got this amazing scenery. And see all pieces together. But what we're doing is we're focusing in on creating that artistical piece and grounding it, and literally having the photograph in front of you and saying, I did that. I am a miracle worker. I can create and ground amazing things. And then you go, on YouTube or something like that, and you send it out to the world, and you start to become that in your own concept of how big and famous you want to be. But it's all through things and passions that you love and grounding them. This world has been grey for too long. And they're really telling me this world has been grey for too long. When we're only living through logic and saying that logic is the only thing that can create, and it's just copy and paste, it becomes very dull, very the same things. The buildings all look the same. It's just the same. And it gets to the point where it just implodes because it becomes boring to live in. And our souls want this adventure. We want to see beauty. We want to create beauty and ground it in this beautiful world. We want to actually have something of substance in this world that's not just sitting in our imagination in the ether here that we can imagine, but we don't actually ground. So that's one of the important messages that they want to bring through at the moment, and that's going to carry through over the next 2 years. So we might end up, having a moments in our life where we step back, and then especially over 2023, where we step back and we start to use our imagination and say, what can I use it for my own benefit? We're learning to use it for stepping out of the fear-based program and using it for what we want to actually create. And then we can say to ourselves, okay, well, that's a bit too much for me to accept. I will taper it down until I feel my logic can handle it, and then I'm going to focus in on that and ground that. And it's all up to you on where your soul and your journey and your vibrational meet wants to go. But we will find that many more of us are starting to step into the psychic world because we're starting to accept the feminine power of ourselves. We're starting to become the powerful feminines that we are. We're becoming goddesses within our own right. And even the masculine, those who are born as masculines have that feminine power within them, which is their imagination too. But they are more inclined to ground those things, but they still have to accept it as well. But they can do the physical work a lot easier than us. That's why they have the muscles to do the physical work, because they are the grounders. But not to say that if you're a male that you can't use your imagination, and just as you're a female that you can't actually ground something. We're all that encompassing. Some of us have more of one than the other, that's all. And we might need help by others who are a reflection of ourselves and our power. So for instance, myself, I've empowered my masculine side. And in that, I ended up having a very masculine partner in my life who's very physical and loves getting his hands dirty and loves doing things physically. And he's such a great reflection of me, so that we can create this beautiful world together. And we love working around the house and improving it and making it beautiful. And to do that, sometimes we need strength, and I don't have that strength physically, but he does, and he's just my reflection. So these are the people that come into your life to help you ground this, to help you expand your reality into something more. Okay. So they also want me to bring up the fact, just at this moment, it's like an intermission here. I do a few things. I do live tarot readings and stuff like that on Tuesdays. And I also, every Thursday, I come up and I channel. And I'm probably going to do more channeling, but I'm also doing channeling and recording it as well so that we can put in some movies and pictures and stuff like that. That's coming up. That's going to be premiering probably tomorrow, maybe tomorrow night in my time, which might be your time in the morning instead if you're in Europe. And also the classes that I've created. So these beautiful classes that have started up. We've had the first one on the 6th. It was so good. It was so exciting. So that's me grounding my reality, my career into this reality. I'm using the energies to ground everything and just stepping through the fear of myself and going, you know what, I'm not afraid anymore. It doesn't matter if it fails. Literally always, if you want to move towards something and you have a fear, it's usually a fear of failing, which is a fear of success itself. And so when you get comfortable with the fact that you can't fail, because just in doing it is not failing. It doesn't matter how many people turn up, just in doing it is not failing, because you're already in the vibrational meat of doing it, of grounding it in this reality. And then you can go from there, you can step up from there. So anyway, we have these classes that I have happening. The next one is on the 20th of February. If you want to come, you can book on my website, which is codes2anewreality.com, and the links are down below. Yeah, we're kind of creating a community there where we're gathering energy as well, and becoming our own authentic self and stepping into what we really, really, truly desire of who we are. So this is really exciting times at the moment, and right this week I'm feeling it is a grounding week, like physically getting our hands dirty and doing things, like not trying, please don't use that word, but physically doing the work and creating it into your reality. The reason why I say don't use try, although I might slip into using try, that word every now and then, is because try, they were giving me this message last night. I'm trying to remember it, but they might come through with more. Trying will never ever get you anywhere, because trying is saying that it's never really present. It's never really grounded. It's only trying. You can't try to, I can't try to hold my other hand. I either aren't holding my other hand or I am holding my other hand. It either is or it isn't. So trying doesn't really work. We're saying I am moving towards the vibrational meat. I am becoming the vibrational meat of grounding this imaginative subject into my reality, because I feel it's going to improve my life and shine me and help me shine. And and also the reason why we do these things is because our soul wants to stay and experiment and have the adventure. Our soul wants to be here, wants to be present in this reality and create. If we are living the life of mediocrity, of only logic being present, of taking someone else's reality as your own, of copy and pasting your own reality over and over again, soul gets bored, and then it just wants to leave, and it creates diseases in your body, creates an accident coming up, that sort of thing, and then you end up having problems in your life because your soul's only got one foot in and one foot out. It's like, I'm half out of this. I don't really, it's boring. It's just me sitting in four walls and doing the same thing over and over and over again. And this is why these young people that have been born at the moment, that have been born through higher frequency energies, are literally saying to everyone, let's shift our vibrational meat, that we don't have to do the 9 to 5 job. See how that's all changed? even though there has been negative things that have seemingly come at us, which is really only the shadow side of humanity's consciousness being lit up. It was already there anyway. We've also had these massive changes where there's a lot more expansion in the fact that we don't have to do 9-to-5 work, that we can go on Uber Eats or something like that, and we don't have to have an actual 9-to-5 job anymore. And we have different jobs. Many of us have different jobs. Then we can start to align ourselves with the ones that feel good and make them bigger. And then the ones that aren't feeling so good or are just there just for the monetary gain or whatever, they can slowly slide away as we start to ground the ones and reflect back to us the support that we desire from the ones that we really like, the jobs that we really, really love. So it's a transition at the moment. We're definitely in a flux and we're definitely in a transition, and we're definitely moving through this. Those that have held many, many, many realities or many, many, many people under their delusional lack of controlling reality, those that have been doing that, whether it be just in family members in the country or the world or whatever it is, are going to start to see that their lack always was present, even though they thought that they had all those people that they were trying to control. Those people are going to wake up, because when they do, they pour their energy away, and then they're left with a really gaping hole of lack. And then they have to look at it. You pulling your energy away from them and creating what you want creates them looking at their own lesson. It makes them look at their lesson. It makes them look at their own lack of why they needed that many people under them in a physical world to be supporting their reality. When we're all source energy going on a journey, going on an adventure, every single one of us has relevance to being here and creating a beautiful reality. Every single one of us needs to take responsibility back, needs to take the reins back, needs to look at our own shadow selves and so forth. So if someone's pulled away from you and you're feeling lack of, that is a great place for you to see where that lack came from and why you needed to have them in your life, because you're trying to control your outside reality and not look at your inner core essence of what was missing inside you. So yeah, I think this was a good idea, just to not have the chat bar there, because there's a lot more coming through, and I'm feeling really good with this. Yeah, let's sip another cup of tea. Also, if you do have any questions and you're here, please put them in the comments, because sometimes those questions spark my knowingness. It's like the answers come straight through me, and then I can, in the next talk or the next channeled message, I can answer them for you. So please put any questions down below in the comments. I do appreciate all your likes and subscribes and everything. That does help heaps with me and sharing this out. See what else comes through. So the more that you end up uniting or coming into peace within yourself and understanding where your logical mind needs to sit and not be trying to create the next path, because it's only going to repeat from the past and project into the future. It can't create the next path. When it has an understanding of that, and where its place is and its value is, and its value. See, the masculine side needs to know where its value is, and its value is in physically creating and grounding things into this reality, having an acceptance of what our program, of what the original program, the authentic program, can truly create in this world, and how to interact with the outside world and the physical world as well, how we can use our imagination. Even those scientists that have had a certain focus in their reality, and they're like, I want to pinpoint this, I want to pinpoint I don't know, a cure for something, and they focus in on it, like really focus in on it. With that focus, they literally do come up with solutions, and it's all, even though it's not something that was, even though they're using different people's parts of different people's copying and pasting all of their information from their textbooks and stuff like that, they'll still come across the right substance to be able to create the solution. But there is a faster and easier way. And when we open the vortex out of science and into quantum physics, into energy as well, when we open that door, when we start to merge the two together, and we come to that, quantum physics sort of thing, and quantum reality, and bringing that in, and we're grounding it by having an understanding of our logic, that these experiments did show us a certain thing was valid, then we end up opening, but we're still open as well to what our imagination is bringing in and where our imagination wants to take us. We're literally asking our soul to give us information as well. Sometimes there has been moments in my life where I've asked a question and the answer didn't come from a textbook or from somebody else telling me, or for something that's copy and pasted. The answer didn't come from that. It came from a knowing from within me. And that's literally what happens when I channel. I have this, I don't follow other people and their advice and stuff like that as much as what I do is that I trust who I am and where I'm going with this. Before I come on and channel, I blank my mind. I have this open trust of where I'm going to go with this. And so sometimes I just woke up and it was like a light bulb goes off in your mind, and it's an absolute. There is no doubt. I know this to be the truth. And that is, when that comes in, as well as the logic agreeing with it, it's when that happens, you have opened a door to unlimited wisdom. And humanity has this ability. I have this ability. So you have this ability. I'm no different to you, just like the elder that I met was no different to me. I have exactly the same brain as you do. I've just fired up different neuron paths and expectations of my reality because I trust my soul more than what I was programmed by the reality that I came through just in this last 50 years that I've been alive, 55 years actually. And so it's more to do with us trusting who we are, and trusting these unknown quantities of information. And when they hit you, it's an absolute knowing. That's all I can, how I can explain it to you. There's no fear. You know what? Sometimes a knowing will come in, and then it will be like an hour, 2 hours later, or the day later that my logic comes in and starts pushing doubt on that because it doesn't want to accept it. So it starts to tell you that it's not true. But I catch it. I recognize my logic doing that, and I catch it and I say, it was a knowing when I met that frequency of that wisdom head on. It was a knowing. My logic's coming in now, and trying to score with it, because in accepting that information, it has to open more Pandora boxes. It has to open more into this reality and ground more into this reality than what it perceived as reality. Where before, with humanity's consciousness being guided by those that wanted to control you into their reality so that they were at the top, through their own lack, that program that was pulled over our eyes literally only, it ended up being that humanity was creating a reality that was only small enough for us to be victim in it. And to be victim in any reality means that fear has to be present. But fear doesn't even exist in the concept of your soul. It's not even relevant. It is just something that's an illusion, because fear creates the fear. Fear, focusing in on the fear, creates the problem bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And every time they advertise something to become bigger, and humanity says that's the truth, it becomes bigger because they're focused in on it. But when we take our focus away from that, they have to learn their lesson. And then we end up focusing in on what we want to create, and we're grounding what we want to create. We're creating a whole other world here. And they won't even really see or notice it. They're too busy trying to scramble to get as many people under their covenant of you holding your imagination hostage to them. Yeah. That's really, there's a lot of this information coming through now, because this is humanity waking up. This is literally humanity stepping out of their normal day-to-day routines and waking up to way more fascination, way more adventure, and where it can take us to incredible places. Because when we open up that, we're literally, we could have visited, say for instance, Uluru back 10 years ago, and then walked through a place that had a vibrational meet to us being able to connect with ancestors, and yet we wouldn't even be in the vibrational meet, because we're only leading by our logic and just seeing, oh, there's a bit of dirt there, oh, there's a hole there, oh, there's a step there, the ground looks a bit different here, that sort of thing. That's all we will do, is come from our own five senses and what we see and what we do, and it's kept us in this, held us in this limited concept of who we are. And then when we open that Pandora's box and we start to bring in feelings, vibrations, knowing, the knowing that this is wisdom that's coming through us. And when you meet that, you will feel it. You will feel it at the core of yourself. But to meet that, you have to be very, very honest with yourself. You can't go into something grasping and trying to be that person. You have to be that person before you meet that wisdom. And then you walk, say, on in Uluru, and when you feel the vibrational meet, you will have an understanding of it. You'll recognize it as the knowing present, that your soul was supposed to connect with your ancestors in that moment, on that spot, and so forth, for benevolent beings that have come into your reality and so forth. There is way more that we can learn about Gaia, Earth, the value of the mountains and how they're created, the stories that come through. And this is why the native Australians would have these dreamings, they would have these imaginations coming through. They would dream up the story that was relevant to what their logical brain could handle into reality. and their belief system followed that because they knew it came from source energy, it came from their soul, it came from some of a higher substance. And so they have this understanding of when they meet a certain landscape, of what that landscape is telling them and where it's going and what the journey was of the landscape. That everything is soul going on a journey anyway, and so you can, as your soul connects with the soul of the land, or the soul of Gaia herself, or Earth herself, it can actually bring up all of this information, this wisdom, and we can talk to each other, and we can start to recognize that if humanity is lacking in a certain mineral, that the plants will grow that mineral around that area, so that we're not lacking of that mineral, so that we can become whole again, and so forth, or if we needed some sort of healing. They also touched on healing too last night. It was a very quick message, something to do with be careful not to, it was a dream, that's right, they brought me into a dream where I was cleaning the microwave, and then I had something that was needing to be heated, and it was a reality that I was creating, but I left the toxic cleaning agent in with the thing I was trying to create. And when I woke up, it was a message of, be aware that when you constantly go on the healing journey, it can become toxic. Because you're constantly finding things to heal, and so you're constantly looking at things to break, to heal, mend, to heal, and you keep going back and forth like that, instead of, okay, enough healing, mates. Enough cleaning. I am using this beautiful space that I've created right here, right now, in this moment, to create something absolutely wonderful. And so we can let go of the healing, because in the higher vibrational meet that we're going to, that we are moving our souls, or connecting to our souls with, their healing isn't even, it is just more of a day-to-day. I feel happy enough to go down to the river and float in the river and just feel the fish, biting at my skin and massaging me, and that sort of thing, a little fish that they have, and that sort of thing, where you're just one with, at peace with everything. And that could be seen as healing, right? But it's actually you feeling happy to do that. It's just you moving through your life. And so every step that you take is a healing step. It literally is you guiding yourself into eating the right things and doing what feels good for you. And it doesn't mean to say that you can't experiment with some substance that somebody else might say is not good for you, but for you, it was in that moment, for you to have an adventure. It's still your choice on where you want to take this, but you have to accept it and take responsibility. You have to take the reins for what your decisions are. You can no longer blame something else that happened years ago, or someone outside of you that's coming up to you. You can no longer blame anyone. This is all to do with you, accepting you, and where your journey has been taken. And if you end up, having a hangover the next day, then live with it, mate, because you're the one that took the reins, that decided to drink too much the night before, and so forth. But if you want to, that's you. That's your journey. You go on your journey. There is literally no wrong or right in this. It is just an acceptance, understanding that we can accept ourselves and where we want to go, and then move from that, and move with that. So, okay, guys, so no more hiding. We've got to start grounding our miracles and allowing ourselves to just open the crack, just open that door a little bit more into allowing our logic to have a better understanding that our imagination can be grounded and that we can actually create something more outside the box of what's norm in humanity's consciousness. And whenever someone does that, they're opening the crack for many others to do that. They're opening that light seeping in for many others to do that as well, because others will start to see them do it. And then they're like, well, what can I do with my life if she can do that with hers, and so forth. And that's what I always wanted to be. I wanted to be a leading example. I wanted not to just be speaking these words, but to be a leading example. And that's why in the last 2 years, I did this went on a massive healing journey and ended up manifesting beautiful man in my life, a beautiful home that I always wanted. My children are really happy at the moment. They're moving through their stuff, but they're happy in our family dynamics. My cat and my dog are getting along. I can't even believe that, because honestly, my cat in previous years when I was going through a really rough patch, where it was attacking others, was attacking me whenever she saw a small animal come up. A dog would come up, she literally attacked my foot, and I had spurts of blood coming out, and I had to be on crutches and everything. It hit an artery. But that was when I was in that energy, see? And I was still not... I was trying to push away my masculine side of myself. I was angry with my masculine side that I wasn't physically grounding anything in my reality. It was all in this ether. But now I'm realizing that I'm the one that has to ground this. I'm the one that has a masculine within me. And so I'm grounding it. And now my cat and my dog are getting along. Like, I want to be a leading example for you to say, let's do this, let's go for this, let's try something new, let's open our Pandora's box of our imagination instead of letting somebody else dictate where our imagination is led, and use it and utilize it for ourselves to become bigger and better and expand our reality into something more. So guys, I'll love you and leave you there. And look out for my premiere. I will put that up soon so that you've got a couple of days to realize what time I'm actually going to premiere it. And then there'll be a chat bar so we can have a discussion, and I have more control over that because I can chat to you guys in real time then, instead of doing this and that. It was a bit overwhelming at some points. So love you guys heaps. Until next time, bye.